everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Alex and today I am bringing you a backlist breakdown of Becky Albertalli. Now, if you guys are not familiar with my backlist breakdown series, it is essentially where I will go very in-depth into a specific author, tell you a little bit about their life, and then give you a breakdown of every single book that they have written and what my ratings were of them. I've done a couple of these in the past. I know that I've done one on Libba Bray and Frederick Bachman. If you haven't seen them before, I will link a playlist up in a card above so you can catch up on all of them. But today we are going to be focusing on Becky Albertalli. But before we get into the video, if you're new here and you're not already, be sure to go down and hit the subscribe button and the bell icon down below so that you never miss out on any of my content. And without further ado, let's get started. So first we will start out with just a little brief biography on Becky Albertalli. So she was born on November 17th, 1982, born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. So Becky attended Wesleyan University and got a degree in psychology, and then she actually wound up moving to Washington, D.C., where she got a PhD in clinical psychology. After that, she worked as a psychologist up until 2012 when her first son was born, and then she decided to move away from that and maybe start trying her hand at writing fiction, and she cites the Australian author Jacqueline Moriarty as a really big inspiration for her. She has since moved back to the Atlanta area and she lives there today with her husband Brian and their sons Owen and Henry. One other last thing that I wanted to throw out there was Becky Albertalli was actually raised in a Reform Jewish household, which you can definitely see the inspiration from that and that own voices representation in a lot of her novels. Now that we have a little bit of background on Becky Albertalli, we're going to move in to talking about her novels. So I'm going to go through in chronological order everything that she has written, tell you a little synopsis, and tell you what I thought of them. So Becky Albertalli's debut novel was Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda, and this one came out in 2015. This is one of BookTube's most beloved novels, but if you don't know what it's about, this book follows our main character, Simon, and he is just a typical high school student. He is out, he is openly gay, and he accepts himself the way that he is. His friends are all great about it, his parents are great about it, and he winds up finding himself emailing back and forth with this other person named Bloo. Now, Simon knows that Bloo is gay as well, and Bloo goes to his school, but he doesn't know who Bloo is because he's not out yet. He's not comfortable sharing his identity. So they wind up emailing back and forth, and Simon finds himself starting to fall for Bloo. But when the class clown and kind of the bully of the class named Martin finds out that Simon has been emailing this other person, Martin essentially blackmails him into becoming a wingman and saying, if you don't help me get with this girl, then I'm going to out Bloo and tell everybody what's going on. And chaos ensues from there. Now, it has been a long time since I've read this one. Like I said, it came out in 2015. I read it in 2016, and it still sticks with me to this day. Like so many other people on BookTube, this is one of my favorite books. I feel like it was perfect in every single way. I listened to this one on audiobook when I first consumed it, and I loved doing it that way. It was so fast and fun and easy to get through. The plot progressed at a really nice pace, and I loved getting to know all of our characters. Other than just Simon and Bloo, I feel like the side characters in this novel are very, very strong. I feel like Simon's voice in general throughout the novel is something that just I totally vibed with, and I absolutely love the way that it was told. The story was really unique, and yet it brought in a lot of elements that I think everybody can relate to in their time in high school, so I really appreciated that. I also really adored the family relationships throughout this novel. I feel like in a lot of YA, the family is kind of pushed to the backside, especially when it's marketed as a romance, but this one has a really, really strong family element that I super appreciated. I don't feel like I have to go on much longer about this one because everybody knows and loves it. I obviously gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It was incredible, and the movie Love, Simon I watched last year, it was one of my favorite movies of 2019. Absolutely adored it. I am due for a reread of this one, so if anybody wants to buddy read it with me, hit me up in the comments. The next thing that Becky Albertalli came out with was The Upside of Unrequited, and this one came out in 2017. Now, this book follows our main character, Molly, and she has never had a relationship. She has had a bunch of different crushes, but she's never actually had them reciprocated. Her love has always been unrequited. So towards the beginning of the novel, Molly's twin sister Cassie gets a new girlfriend, and it just makes Molly feel even worse about herself. But Cassie's girlfriend has a friend named Will, and Will and Molly really start to hit it off in the beginning. But on the other hand, there is also a boy named Reed that Molly works with, and she thinks that they may be starting to flirt with each other a little bit as well. So Molly, her entire life, has been nothing but unrequited crushes, and now she might potentially be involved in a love triangle. And the story is basically her just trying to navigate that and just figuring out life. Now, the first thing that I will say that I really enjoyed about this and that a lot of people say is a standout in this novel is the representation. Molly and Cassie are twins, and it's been a long time since I've read the novel, but I believe that they have two mothers and that they were test tube babies, and they are being raised in a Jewish family. So that right there is so much representation. Not to mention the fact that Cassie, I don't remember exactly how she identifies, but she does have a girlfriend. So she's somewhere in the LGBT community, and I believe there are some people of color in the novel as well. So there is just a ton of diversity going on in this novel, and it's all done so beautifully. One of my pet peeves about books is when authors try to put in a bunch of different diverse elements just to have them there, and it feels like it's really cramped and pushed and we didn't really need it. But this one balances everything so well, makes it feel so natural, and I just highly praise Becky Albertalli for that in general. This is one of those books that just the entire time I was reading it, I could not stop smiling. It gave me all the warm fuzzies. This would be the perfect pick-me-up if you're looking for something light and fun and cute. It was adorable. There are amazing relationships in here. The friend group is great, as it always is in Becky Albertalli's novels. And of course, like I said, the representation is phenomenal. This is one of my favorites from her, which she's never written a bad book, let's be honest. But I also gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. So the next book that Becky Albertalli published was Leah on the Offbeat, and this is the second-ish book companion novel sequel to Simon, and this one came out in April of 2018. Now, Leah is Simon's best friend from Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda, and this book is all about her. She is an incredible main character. She is a badass, she's a drummer, and she finds that in her senior year of high school that she is the only person in her friend group that doesn't really know where they're going to go. So all of her friends kind of have a plan for their life, and they know what's happening, and they're all getting involved in their own little things, and Leah doesn't have anything like that. So she's finding herself kind of being removed from her friend group, and she's kind of stagnant, and she's really worried about that. She is also self-conscious about quite a few things in her life. She really has a passion for drawing, but she's self-conscious about it, doesn't really feel like she's that talented, and she doesn't want to show anyone. She is also the child of a single mother. She's really close to her mom, and her mother knows that Leah is bisexual, but Leah is too scared and nervous to tell the rest of her friend group. So the novel is really a character study of Leah trying to figure out what she's going to do with her life, how can she reveal the truths about herself to her friends, and just figuring out everything you have to figure out in your senior year. While I think that all of Becky Albertalli's novels are phenomenal, this one is my favorite of her novels to date. I absolutely adored it, and I think part of the reason for that is that I felt really seen in the representation in this. The bisexual representation, I don't know if it's on Voices, I don't believe that it is, but regardless, it is done very well. This is another one where the strength is the characters. We have just an amazing group of friends to follow, and even though they are going their separate ways in this novel, we still get to hear so much about all of them. Just like all the other ones, I feel like this novel is a really accurate representation of high school. We really get into a character's head, and you feel for them, you root for them, you just want the best for everybody involved. Like I said, this one is by far my favorite from Becky Albertalli. I really need to reread this one as well. Really just need to reread all of them, but obviously I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars as well. Now, that was actually the last book that Becky Albertalli has written solo, and the next 2 books that she has published are collaborations with other authors. So the next book that Becky Albertalli published was What If It's Us, which was a collaboration with Adam Silvera, and this one came out in October of 2018. This book follows our 2 main characters, Arthur and Ben, and they run into each other in New York City. They have a meet cute at the post office, and then they went away, walk their separate ways, and they don't get each other's phone numbers or anything, and they are left thinking about each other, and maybe it could have been something more, and then they find themselves actually reconnecting, and they're wondering if maybe fate is in their hands, and is this their time to be together? Could it be them? Is fate driving them together? Blah, blah, blah. Now, like all of Becky Albertalli's novels, this is one that is incredibly diverse, and it was really easy to devour. I read it very quickly, really loved getting through it, and I felt like the romance was cute, though it wasn't as believable as some of the other romances that she's read. I am a big fan of Adam Silvera as well, and I enjoyed them writing together. You could definitely see their signature writing styles in between because we get different perspectives on each character, so you can tell that Becky wrote one and Adam wrote the other. So if you're a fan of of them, I would definitely give this one a try. A lot of people are really loyal fans of both of these authors and found that this collaboration didn't exactly work. I really did enjoy it at the time. I wound up giving it a 4.5 out of 5 stars, but upon a reread, I may bring that down to about a 4. I don't really remember a ton about it, to be honest, but I do remember enjoying the experience. And the last book that Becky Albertalli has published to date is Yes, No, Maybe So, and this was a collaboration with Aisha Saeed that came out in February of 2020. Now, this book follows our two main characters, Jamie and Maya, and they wind up going political canvassing for the state senate candidate, and they meet, become friends, fall in love, yada yada. Now, this is my most recent read from Becky Albertalli, and it's my first time ever reading Aisha Saeed. And I really liked the way that they went together. I think that their writing styles flow together. If you didn't know any better, I would think that this was all written by one person, so I really enjoyed that aspect of it. The characters in this book are really, really strong. Jamie grew up in a Jewish background, and Maya is Muslim, so we get a lot of representation that way, which I really appreciated. I've heard this called a politically charged romance, and I would definitely agree with that. There is a lot of emphasis on the political aspect of this, which is very much needed, and I feel like it was done really, really well. I've heard some people didn't really like it. I enjoyed it. I feel like there was a really good balance in here between the romance and the politics, so it wasn't too overbearing one way or the other. Again, just like all of Becky Albertalli's novels, the characters in here are so lovable and diverse. Found myself just smiling ear to ear the entire time that I was reading this. It only took me, I think, 2 days to get through this, and it's got about 450 pages, so this is a long one. It's pretty long for contemporary, but very much enjoyed it. This is a relatively new release, and if you haven't picked it up yet, I would definitely recommend it. I wound up giving this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars as well. So really quick, I usually like to talk about if the author has any upcoming works, and as of right now, Becky Albertalli has not announced anything. They are actually going to be making Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda into a TV show. It's going to be called Love, Victor, and I believe it's going to be premiering on Hulu, so Becky is in works of that right now. Haven't heard anything about a new book from her yet, but fingers crossed one will be coming soon. That is it for my backlist breakdown of Becky Albertalli. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and let me know your favorite book by her. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to go down and give it a big thumbs up, as well as hitting the subscribe button and the bell icon down below so that you never miss out on any of my content. So until next time, bye!